Thank you, Lasca Hirlock, and I welcome the Minister to the House to hear this adjournment motion on what is a very important issue and a very emotive issue for all citizens that live in the South East region. Minister, no one knows what time an accident or an emergency at sea, or indeed any other place for that matter, will take place. And it is ridiculous, Minister, that this government is once again cutting our frontline emergency services in an attempt at saving costs without any transparency around the decision and without any regard on the consequences for saving lives. All for the savings, in this case I understand, for €1 million. The South East Helicopter Search and Rescue Service had its busiest year last year with 115 call-outs. Now, Minister, I understand that Cabinet has already agreed to cut this service, which is based in Waterford Airport, from a 24-hour service to a 12-hour service. And I would ask the question, how many lives will be lost before the government recognise it cannot and must not cut this essential emergency service? This latest cut means that any casualty, be it a swimmer, a fisherman or otherwise, that gets into difficulty after 9 p.m. in the evening off the South East coast will have to wait an extra 40 minutes at least for the arrival of a sea rescue helicopter from a base other than Waterford Airport. This is a time lag that will mean the difference between life and death in the majority of incidents. The Waterford base, Minister, is included in a very recently published document called the Search and Rescue Framework for Emergency Management, and I have it here with me. And it's dated 2nd of March 2010. I do understand it's a controlled document. Now what that means, I presume, is there is information that the Minister and the Department officials are privy to, that the general public are not, and I would be interested to know what the full details of that document are. But I would say, Minister, this document is prepared by the experts in this area, and I'm very concerned that for a saving of €1 million, that the accountants in the Department of Transport are actually dictating that emergency services such as the helicopter service are cut. The new contract allows for an increased budget, Minister, and the Minister for Transport tells us that it will improve the service because it will mean that faster, newer helicopters can be provided from the other 3 bases. Well, I have news for the Minister, and it's this, that it is not an improved service. It is in fact a diminished service that is neglecting the needs of an entire population of the South East region, and indeed further beyond, because the waters off the South East coast are very busy waters and are used for shipping, for boating, for swimming, for fishing and for many other purposes, and it is indeed essential that this service is retained. Minister, over 20,000 members have signed up to a Facebook campaign opposing this measure. 20,000 members in the space of a couple of days, which is an enormous response and a real concern to this cut. And Minister, the contract for this has not yet been signed, and there is still time to review this decision. And I would appeal to the Minister and indeed the Cabinet and Government to review the decision and give us full transparency on why this cut is being imposed and on why the people of the South East are being treated on an unequal basis to those around the rest of the country. I think it's an illogical decision. We're an island nation surrounded by water, and here we are cutting one of the most essential services that was provided by this government, and I will acknowledge that, almost a decade ago. And I think it's important that it should be retained. So, Minister, I'm interested to hear your response, and so are indeed thousands of people in the South East and indeed beyond, on what the government are doing to retain this service and to protect what is an essential emergency service. Thank you, Lasca Hirlock.
Look, I'm very pleased to have this opportunity to speak on the subject of the Search and Rescue Helicopter Service on behalf of my colleague Mr Noel Dempsey, TD Minister for Transport. There has been much ill-informed comment about the proposed new helicopter contract. Because we are in the standstill period of the procurement process and about to commence contract negotiations, I am somewhat constrained in what can be said. However, I will make the following points. The new contract has been presented as a cutback in services. Nothing could be further from the truth. Far from being a cutback, the contract is a massive €500 million investment in maritime search and rescue capability on the island. The new contract will cost significantly more on an annual basis than the current contract because of the improved services to be provided. The proposed contract represents a dramatic increase in funding for SAR helicopter services in Ireland from approximately €30 million to €50 million per annum. This is an increase in difficult circumstances of €20 million a year in this service alone. The Government has also approved the retention of 4 helicopter bases, including Waterford, for a period to at least 2023. The new contract represents a stepped improvement in the capacity, range, speed and capability of Ireland's SAR service. The existing contract expires on the 30th of June 2010, but includes a once-off option to flexibility extend individual bases by different lengths up to a maximum of 3 years, which is up to the 30th of June 2013. The Government therefore decided to replace the current fleet at significant additional cost, approximately 20 million per annum. Modern helicopters are much more capable than the current aircraft. They fly at about 150 knots. They can lift more people from further out at sea and are usually able to fly in cloud. They are also more available and dependable, requiring less routine maintenance and being less prone to breakdown. Bidders were required to quote for a number of alternative options by which the target level of service could be provided. A preferred bidder has now been nominated, and the Department of Transport are in the standstill period before contract negotiations can begin. The annual cost will increase very substantially as a result of the provision of modern helicopters. This increased cost will have to be found from within the Department of Transport's existing budget. However, they will deliver a marked improvement in the service. The new helicopters will fly to the scene of the mission faster, find the vessels or persons in the water more efficiently using better search, surveillance and tracking tools, winch them to safety more quickly, provide better medical facilities on board and return them to safety in the shortest possible time. I want to again confirm that there will be no change in the 24-hour availability from the Waterford base before July 2013. Furthermore, the future of Waterford Airport as a base for a Coast Guard SAR helicopter will be cemented until at least 2023. While a 12-hour contract is to be negotiated for the post-2013 period, the Government is committed to keeping this position under review in the light of the operational requirement at Waterford and the availability of funding. To put the 12-hour operation in context, in 2009 this would have required 13 of the 113 missions flown from Waterford to be met from another base. In some cases the new helicopters would have arrived earlier, but on average the additional time required would have been about 10 minutes. In the 3 years to 2013 the following factors will be considered: ability of neighbouring search and rescue resources to successfully reach those incidents and effect a rescue; development of the UK helicopter search and rescue service, which will occur at the same time as the Irish changeover and use the same helicopters; availability of other search and rescue resources such as lifeboats; changes in the frequency, times, location or pattern of incidents in the area; and financial resources. Thereafter, the level of incidents and response times at Waterford will continue to be kept under review during the 10-year contract. At a national level, in difficult financial circumstances, this new contract is a major recognition by the Government of the value of the Irish Coast Guard and the communities it serves. It is also a substantial commitment to the continuing development of Irish maritime safety services. Thank you.
A question, Senator Coffey.
Yes, I have a question for the Minister, and the question is, Minister, this doesn't do anything more to reassure either me or the people of the South East region, and you just said that there's a lot of ill-informed comment. Well, I would suggest, Minister, that the response that you have given here this evening is very much ill-informing the public that you are responding to. You mentioned the UK search and rescue services that are happening in coordination with this. I have news for you, Minister. The UK services are also being diminished in the region of the southwest of the UK, where they're relocating helicopter services inland. I have a question for the Minister, and the question is this: how on earth can you see, Minister, that this is an improvement when there is a reduction in hours and there is a lack of cover from a diminishing of cover from 24-hour service to 12-hour service? That is not an improvement. And you're saying that the helicopters will get faster from the base to the area of crisis or emergency. That's fine if the helicopter is based in Waterford, but if it's travelling from Shannon or Dublin or Sligo, how on earth could that be faster getting to an emergency than if the helicopter was starting in Waterford? Because to be honest, Minister, what you've told this House is pure rubbish, and the people of the South East won't accept it. I won't accept it, and I can tell you, you're going to face stiff opposition, Minister. I'm emotive about it, and I'm going to be. You're going to face stiff opposition from the people of the South East across all parties to this measure. Thank you, Lascar Hirla.
There will be no change, Senator Coffey. In the 24 until July 2013. And it will be...
Second motion, Senator Buttermore.
You're not reading the public mood on this one.
Margaret Cathaoirleach, and can I welcome the Minister and thank the Cathaoirleach for allowing me to place this motion on the adjournment. It's the need, Minister, that we have a plan to combat the growing epidemic of obesity. And as you know, Minister, 14 of my colleagues and I just completed successfully Operation Transformation on RT television. And that programme tapped into a nerve in the Irish public. With 500,000 people watching the programme, over 3 million hits on its website, underlies the fact that we need to hear from the Minister tonight the plans that government has for combating the growing problem within Irish society, one that will cost lives, one that will cost us in hospital beds and resources, and one within which there is a ready-made solution. Obesity levels in this country are growing, are escalating, they're getting higher and higher, and the stats drawn from the Obesity Task Force are quite frightening. 39% of our population are overweight, 18% of the population is obese. We have the 4th highest prevalence of obesity amongst adult males in Europe. 22% of 7 to 12-year-olds are overweight or obese, and research shows that 300,000 children could become obese in the near future if the present trends continue, and 4,000 people die per annum from obesity. Recently, Professor Alan Riley, speaking at the Health Committee and Children Committee on the 9th of March, spoke about the ways in which the Food and Safety Authority of Ireland has worked in conjunction